What's up, everybody? It's August 11th, 2016, and this is Spoiler Alerts, Episode 3. I'm Chanmanv. He's Eat My Addiction, and Ellohime is this still face today, but his voice is here.
What picture did you use for my
I used that same one,
The
dude.
really cute one.
Yes, I
It's the
used
super
the
cute
boy
one.
meets
The Boy
world.
Meets World one?
Heck yeah, dude. That's heck yeah. That's what you get, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's what I
It's like you for
It's a
having
penalty.
internet problems that you can't control.
Yeah,
you
Fuck,
dick.
fuck you, internet.
When I'm not here, you can put any picture of me you guys want. I do.
Well, I guess the Boy Meets World picture works. Yes, it's like the picture's like I'm gonna get into trouble, but man, we're gonna have fun on the way.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's like, oh boy, Mr. Sampson caught me again. Wah! Laugh track.
How will I get out of this one?
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, today,
Well, yeah,
guys. Go ahead. Go ahead, Alan.
Go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say today,
You go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, you go now. No, today, guys, we're gonna be talking about the Batman, the Killing Joke, as we mentioned last week. There's a book, or there's a comic novel, as well as a movie out there. So we read and watched both, and I think today's discussion will be a little bit of both, given that the movie has this extra 30 minutes of stuff.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah. So we'll talk
I
about a
have
little bit
feelings
of
and opinions on the movie.
Yeah.
Very many of them.
Oh god, definitely. But we're gonna do some call-ins too at the end. Last week I think went really, really well. So I'm gonna try it again. And what you guys do is go to this link that I'm linking in chat. Obviously, those listening can partake, but those watching on Twitch, obviously, you can go to this link right here, Discord link, and hop in there. And then Monkey's gonna be, I guess, talking with you guys, making sure you guys are set up, and then we'll pull you guys into the call at the end of the show. Pull you into the discussion. But yeah, guys, so how was it? So for me, the Killing Joke, this was the first time I've ever read it and watched it.
Really?
Yeah. So for you guys have read it before, right? It's like really old at this point, right?
I'd read
Well,
it.
no, actually,
like a year
this
ago.
would be my first time watching.
Oh,
I,
cool.
I
Okay.
didn't know. I feel like somebody had talked about it some years ago, and I was like, oh, I should read that, and then I never followed up, and then I totally forgot about it until Diction mentioned it, a couple weeks ago. Wait, before we get into that, though, I want to make sure that the people that are watching, because this is only episode 3, I'll probably do this quite a bit before we start out.
Oh yeah.
Just to give them a recap for people who are new. So spoiler alert, the show you're watching, we're in our 3rd week. And what we're doing basically is we're covering different types of media, comic books, movies, shows, video games, whatever, what have you. And then we're coming back a week afterwards to discuss them. So last week, we asked people, actually 2 Chanmanv was on vacation last week. We asked people to pick up Killing Joke and read it and or watch it, and come back and talk about it today. So that's what we're doing. And at the end of the show, we'll have another item. I believe. Do we even want to reveal what it is? Your show, or
Let's make them wait. Let's make them wait.
Okay, let's make
Let's
keep them
make 'em
itching
wait.
for it.
we're going to reveal that at the end of the show, and the next week's show we're going to cover that. So if you're lost today at all, don't worry about it. Watch the end of the show, and or stick around if you've already read The Killing Joke. And then next week, get your homework assignment, and then come back next week, and we will discuss that, whatever that thing is. Now we can start our discussion on The Killing Joke.
We still have to
like
give
a
the
disclaimer.
spoiler alert. PSA here.
We're talking about everything.
We're talking about everything,
Everything.
guys. If you don't want to hear about The Killing Joke, then just mute it. Keep watching the stream, but you can just mute your audio, and that is okay. That will be totally.
Just look at our
okay.
faces and just have a good time.
No, but if you don't want to hear about it, go and obviously don't watch it now. You can watch the VOD or listen to the audio later after you've read it or watched it. Okay, so let's get started. How should we approach? Should we start with the movie first and then get into the novel, given that the movie has this 30 minutes of extra content?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So, all right, so the 30 minutes, guys, is mostly focused around Batgirl, right? And
It's like from her point of view.
Yeah,
She narrates it and everything. It's
Yeah. So it talks about I guess basically the moments leading up to her and Batman separating, or her not being Batman's partner. Because they were partners for a while, and actually when it first starts, it's obvious that they've been partners a while, and just
reluctant partners.
Reluctant partners. Yeah.
But he's reluctant. She's super jazzed about being Batgirl.
Yeah.
Super jazzed.
At the same time, there's this... What?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna say she's not that jazzed about being Bat.
She's super jazzed about being his partner and being involved in all of his like detective issues and shit.
Yeah. She's super overzealous. Yeah, for sure. Sorry, Chanmanv. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, but there's this weird relationship between Batman and Batgirl too, because obviously he's in charge, but at the same time they're partners, right? And that was actually stated in this whole bit too, which is kind of interesting given that partners are usually kind of equal, right?
There's a balance there, not just
I
like
guess somebody has to be the boss, right? Somebody,
right?
So she has this kind of feeling, the kind of typical feeling, right? When it's just like, I'm not in charge and he's telling me what to do. So it definitely starts out that way. And then it becomes this other thing later, which is more of a sexual tension. I don't know what it is. I mean,
stalker romance.
Stalker romance.
Stalker romance.
That's a good way to describe it. So what?
No, it's absolutely right. I'm just waiting because I have so many terrible about this that I'm just like sitting back here going
You're sitting here waiting. Yeah. I'm just trying to.
I'm just sitting here like.
it's essentially like, okay, it's obviously like 25 minutes of tacked on animation and voice acting to make it feature length so they could put it in theaters. Like that's this got to be the only reason they did it. And I think it also had something to do with the comic writer who like introduced the Batman and Batgirl like romance in the comics or something, and like apparently DC like really fucking loves his ideas, and so they're like, hey, why don't you like contribute to this, or we're going to use some of your stories for this. And it feels like an episode of the TV show from the 90s. Like the tonal shift is like it's crazy. It goes from being kind of lighthearted, also kind of violent, mostly lighthearted with lots of like one-liners and like really unfunny quips and jokes that just don't work. And then this like weird sexual fucking like thing where she's like pining after him, like she waits she's like nervous about calling him on a phone and stuff. Like she acts like a teenage girl that's just like pining after this older man. And then eventually it ends with her being like hanging up her cape and realizing she doesn't want to do the Batgirl thing. And then there's this like a hard transition, and then it turns into the Killing Joke, which is a completely different like story. They only mention the Joker once in the first 20 minutes, and it's not even, they don't say his name.
Yeah.
Batman just says like, I know this kind of crazy or something along those lines. Yeah. And it's just like, it just felt so unnecessary. Like it felt like its own little like episode of the TV show that was completely separate from the Killing Joke. And I didn't like it. And I went into it knowing full well this was going to happen. People warned me. They're like, yeah, basically just skip the first 30 minutes and then you get to the Killing Joke and you're good. And that's exactly how I felt.
I mean, comparing it to the TV show, I think was an excellent example, because that's what it felt like. Like when you first start watching, it felt
like a full episode. It had like a beginning, middle, and end, and then it kept going. The Killing Joke.
Exactly. It's like when I started watching, I for a moment I made sure this was the right thing I was watching, even though I didn't know what to expect. It was so different than I'd read the book. Obviously I'd read the novel first, and then I started watching this. And I was just like, okay, I'm just making sure I didn't actually start click on the right thing to watch. And so so it starts going, and then I mean basically I think they added it. It felt like they added it just so that you'd have people that may not be familiar with the whole Batman story and Barbara and everything, so you'd have a better understanding of who Barbara was, because when the Killing Joke first starts, I mean she's just some girl with or she's Commissioner Gordon's daughter, and then she
has one scene and then she gets shot.
So I think there was maybe some clarification, but this is overboard. I mean, this is
honestly, if their goal was to make us like feel even more shocked when that scene happened and like really feel for Barbara, they fucking completely missed the point. I was glad she got shot. I was like, oh, thank goodness she can't walk anymore. That means she can't jump Batman's bones randomly on a rooftop somewhere anymore.
Yeah, which is by the way, you guys haven't mentioned at all. Just
Oh, that sex scene,
Was-
or like that the sex opening and then closing.
It's
It's just sex. It's meaningless. It's like they're trying to get to the millennials or something. Like, hey man, casual sex is cool now. No, why can't Batman do it?
Well, it's got this weird. It's like they tried to sum up. It's like they tried to sum up like another movie in like 30 minutes. And I think it could have been okay on its own, and if it would have been drawn out and explained a little bit better, but it felt rushed. So like, you're not really understanding. Okay, so she fucks Batman, right? So she has sex with Batman. He's like this mentor, right?
By the way, hold on. I have to interject for 1 second. She takes off her mask and her shirt
in one swipe,
and I have to assume that she still doesn't know Bruce Wayne is Batman, right? So he just fucked her in his full costume.
Dude,
I mean,
like that's
dream,
kinky.
baby.
I'm not trying to kink shame him or anything, but that's fucking weird, man.
That's
awesome.
Really, I respect that scene more, having thought of that. Thank you.
But did he make an extra compartment to allow for that? I mean,
yeah, how'd she get his belt off? That thing's probably got like a security code or something.
Probably lost a finger on the way. Like he pressed the wrong button.
Just accidentally just like shot out some like cataracts or something, or like some batarangs just burst out of his fucking penis area.
The grappling hook hits her in the face, knocks her out. Batman continues.
I want to. Can someone animate a blooper reel of that sex scene for us, please?
No, but okay. Here's the point I was trying to make though, is that so she has sex with him, and then she does, like Diction said, like I can't explain to you how like teenage girl it is.
Oh God.
Like, should I call him? Should I not call him? Oh no. What does this mean? Oh God, I bet he's this way and this way, and oh shit. And like he's telling her every time she communicates with him, he's just like, hey, chill out. Like, give me a little bit. Like, let me process
Give me some space.
This. I'm sorry. I'm dealing with
I'm
shit.
Batman.
Like, I'm fighting enemies stuff. Like, give me a second to process what this you meant, Which, by the way, she totally jumped his bones. Like, she really did. Like, she was so aggressive with it. Like
she was punching him, and then she just like straddled him and made out with him, and then boom, sex.
It shocked me, man. I was like, okay, yeah, I guess something's going to happen here. There's going to be some moment. Then all of a sudden, she just mauls him and goes to top style on him. It's like,
but they never have a conversation about it. Like when she quits, it's completely because she psyched herself out in her own head.
Yeah,
like. He's going to him like, it's just sex. It's meaningless. Why can't we go back to the way it was? Why can't we?
Why can't we just fight crime together?
Batman's just sitting there like, all I said was like, give me a second. Let me process some of this. Like, give me some fucking space.
One of my favorite
girl anymore.
Like, one of my favorite bits is when she finally gets the courage to call him, and he's like in his Batmobile going after whatever Paris, that dude. Yeah. She's like trying to one up, and they have this like brief conversation, and then she's like, I think she says something along the lines of like, we need to talk about what happened, and he just goes later. but not like
he's
later,
like later.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. No, he's like later as in I'll see you later, like he's a teenage boy or something. Like later, dude. Like,
well, like I can imagine if I was in Batmobile, okay, and I just had awkward sex with one of my best friend's daughters, that maybe I have some things to contemplate on the way to stop whatever bad guy I have to worry about right then. Like, give Batman a fucking break, man. It was only like a week or something, like a couple of days. Like, it was crazy how fast it went and how quickly she threw in the bat towel, man. Like, it was crazy how quick. It's like, had sex with him. He on the way she wanted to, so she's like, I can't do this anymore, and then she just up and quits.
No, but she made it sound like it was for him though. It's like, oh, I understand you can't be Batman and save everyone when you care so much about a single, just one person, right? That's going to affect your ability to be a superhero for all of Gotham or something like that. When there's just like, he barely even showed any emotion to her. This could have been just like, just fulfilling some manly needs, That's pretty much what
it really had this feeling. This fucked up vibe of just like an abusive relationship.
Exactly.
Where she's like, it's like a domestic spousal type thing where she keeps going back to him even though he keeps rejecting her, and it's just like it made both of their characters completely unlikable.
Yeah.
So it kind of made the Killing Joke part of it worse. Like, even though that part of it, like they stuck to the source material pretty goddamn well, but then like it was just like with that tacked on first bit, it just really fucked up the tone of the rest of it, and it was just like it did it a disservice. So it's like it'd be one thing if they adapted it like not correctly, you know, like they missed the point of the Killing Joke, like what they were trying to say about the Joker's character, his relationship with Batman, how he thinks they have the same type of insanity, that all that stuff. If they missed that point, that would be one thing. But this is like they tacked on a bunch of bullshit that just weakens the story that we're there to see in the first place, and that's what I didn't like about it.
Well, I would have been okay with it had it made like some small changes in the main movie. Like, for instance, okay, so I guess we're going into Killing Joke now. So
yeah, sure.
So you know the whole scene with trying to get Commissioner Gordon to go crazy, okay, to, you know, break him mentally. I would have been more okay with the first 30 minutes if somehow Joker had pictures of them sleeping with each other that he then showed during that whole
like there was no connection to either of those stories. It was just kind of like,
or Paris,
why do it in the first place? Like it was simply just so they could get a running time to launch it in theaters. That was it.
But if you think about it, it's such a subtle difference to changing the original that I don't think anybody who enjoyed the original would have cared. You know, like nobody would have cared if there were extra photos that showed up in the heart ride or the horror ride or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like that would have made more sense to me if it's like not just that, hey, I shot your daughter, you know, she's probably gonna end up a cripple, here's pictures of her naked bleeding on the floor, blah blah blah. Oh, here's also a picture of, you know, Batman you consider to be very close to, basically raised, right, fucking your daughter. You know, it's betrayal, it's you know, family, it's love, it's the contemplation of loss, you know, like it's all that stuff, I think, which would have attributed a lot more to breaking Commissioner Gordon. And because I felt like the whole thing to try to break him was so weak, even in the comic. Like, I'm like, this is the best Joker can come up with.
Like, it was a little,
it's real lackluster.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a lot more time than just, I don't know, the span of a few hours.
Right.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, and I thought about that.
In a leash.
Yeah, it's like, I thought about that too, like what would have made me happy about it. And here's the thing, is how am I going to word this? It's kind of hard to say, but I'm trying my best to say it. Can't torture Gordon more than a day. Okay,
not even that, like a couple of hours.
Even a few
hours. It's still nighttime, you know.
But the thing is that I think that the reason, and I'm just kidding, I have no idea. I think the reason Joker decided to do it the way he did was because he can't torture Commissioner Gordon over a period of time. Because the point he's trying to make is that anybody would have gone crazy in his situation had they been in it. That's basically what he's trying to prove. But the thing is that what happened to him didn't happen over a long course of time. It was a one-time event, hit him, it fucked him up. He was already depressed, you know, with his wife.
Bad day.
It was the bad day. It was a bad day. It wasn't a bad week or a bad month. It was the bad day. Yeah. So he has to do whatever he has to do to Commissioner Gordon in like a day. Otherwise, his point's moot because, hey, you had a week to work on this guy. What happened to you only happened in a day. So I went over that in my head and I thought, okay, I don't really think they do to change that, like to make it a week-long thing. I don't think it would work in the story. But I go back to this thing of feeling like what he did to Commissioner Gordon, while horrible, was not nearly as horrible as like what I could come up with. I know it makes me sound like a fucking psychopath.
No, it's true.
But like,
it's true.
But, I mean, if you sat down and thought about it, hey, I have an afternoon torture some dude. I'm the Joker. I've got, you know, unlimited resources, a bunch of crazy ass midgets. I can pull something off that's a little more terrifying than it's your naked daughter bleeding.
I mean, it starts with like, why not just kill Barbara? Like, you know, why not have, you know, recorded that or whatnot? I mean, I think that would have been.
I don't know.
I mean,
like expertly paralyzing her with a gunshot wound and then taking naked photos of her as she's like in in pain on the ground. That's pretty fucked up. That's really fucked up. Like that's.
Well, here's my thing
is,
too.
But,
Is that,
you know, when you're trying to get somebody into a crazy state, and obviously part of his I guess his trip to the crazy, just becoming crazy, was obviously the death of his wife and kid, or future kid too.
Yeah.
So you would think there would have been some analogy. You know, just it would make sense if he would have tried to take Gordon to that place too.
I don't think it was about trying to like permanently break Gordon. It was break him enough to where his sense of morality is skewed. So like what he wanted at the end of it was for Batman to show up, and he wanted Gordon to give him the okay to kill the Joker.
Right.
Like he wanted him to finally just like lose his sense of morality and his like ethical, like
Seven style
barometer
kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't about just like okay, he's gonna spend the rest of his life feeling crazy and sad. Like no, it's just in this moment he wanted him to just be like, take him out instead of bring him in, which is what he always does. But then he ends up not doing that.
But again, wouldn't killing her do that? I mean, that's throwing that Seven reference. That's kind of what happened in Seven, right? So it's
yeah.
Elle,
I'm gonna say something here. It's gonna make me sound like super morbid or whatever. Did you guys? Okay, I know that they only show so much of what Gordon is actually viewing when he's down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What picture?
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're getting to.
I got this sense.
Yeah.
I read the comic. Just read the comic that the pictures there may have been some of like Joker raping her.
Yeah,
that was. I think
that was my first impression too.
Subtext of that, yeah.
I know. I think I want to say that it was like inferred, but I don't think it ever explicitly was inferred. Like, I don't think it ever is hinted at or or anything like that. But I don't know. I just felt like
that was my first
what
impression.
Should have been there.
Yeah,
that's what should have been there to make him go crazy. But it doesn't present it like
someone in the chat said that he did rape her. It was confirmed by the author that he did rape her. So, but they probably couldn't show that. Like they couldn't actually put that in a comic book.
Right. Yes, I mean,
but it's weird.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, that's definitely more torturous.
Well, I mean, I know, but there's always ways to like go around. Like you don't have to show. You can always just say like Joker could have made it onside or an offside like quip about how good his daughter was or something like that. But he doesn't even do that. Like it's not even like something he jokes about or hints about. Mm-hmm. And you would think that if that was part of it, that he would be joking about it, just push him a little bit further, But he doesn't ever mention it. He doesn't quip about it. He doesn't joke about it. He doesn't mention it. So then it made me think like maybe that wasn't the, but I always kind of had this feeling. But it was weird. I mean,
the prostitutes though.
Not showing.
The prostitutes was like the biggest hint. Like as soon as he escapes, he always comes down to the bridge and has his, like fucks a prostitute. But he didn't come this time.
Oh, yeah.
And they said one of them said that like he found a new girl. He must have a new girl or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's probably the biggest hint that it happened.
That's right. You're right. Mm-hmm. Yep. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't find any point in it where he like jokes about it or says something on the side or even hints at it at all, but that makes a lot of sense. That's kind of a little bit more obscure, a little bit deeper than just like a side comment. So
yeah,
I can get behind that. I mean, no pun intended. No pun intended.
Not even a pun.
Oh my god. Oh boy.
So let me. So Chanmanv.
Yeah.
Do you like it or not? Just the graphic novel. Let's just talk.
The graphic novel? Oh man, the graphic novel. Shoot. So the artwork was beautiful in the graphic novel. Definitely this being one of my. I mean, I've read some comics in the past, just never really been a follower of any particular one. But overall, yeah, I definitely liked it. I felt it's one of those things where it's a novel. I feel like it's a little incomplete. At least, I don't feel like necessarily satisfied at the end of it. I mean, there's this whole thing that we should talk about too. It's just the end, right? The end is just both of them laughing, right? And just what that all means and stuff. But I mean, overall impression, I think the, just the work itself, I think was great. The kind of beginning and end, that feeling of what I expect normally when I read just a novel, period, really wasn't there. This is just like, I feel like a snapshot, in this whole story. And maybe there is a beginning and end I just don't know about. But right now, like just reading The Killing Joke, it just felt like, just this however many page snapshot from a larger story, actually.
Yeah, and I've struggled with it, man. Like I read it, like the graphic novel, and I've sat down and I've been thinking about it for like a week and a half now, and I cannot decide whether or not I like it. It's really weird. Like part of it I really like, part of it I don't. Think some of the things that I really like you mentioned, like the artwork was really good. I think that the story paced pretty well. I feel like I enjoy, Alan Moore's kind of back and forth, that kind of thing, and I really enjoy Alan Moore as a I guess what would you consider him I mean, is he's just
He's a writer.
writer?
He's a writer.
Writer. Yeah, I mean primarily, but I guess maybe the title. But anyways, out of all of his works, I've read For Vendetta and Watchmen, and now I've read this. And I can say without a doubt that I believe that Watchmen is probably his best work ever. Oh, yeah. And this was good, and I could see him in it, and I could see him there, but it was almost like he was removed. I don't know. There was something about it that I just didn't like.
Well, it's because he's working with other people's material, not his own original ideas. So he's infusing his ideas into a world that already existed before he even got on the scene, basically.
Yeah. See, and I don't have the history there with how Alan Moore got involved and how he actually created this. So maybe that's what I'm picking up on. But something about it I just didn't like. I don't know. But some of it I do. Like at the beginning, what really set the pace for me to really like it was just I like the little subtle things in the art. Like when they're going into Arkham Asylum, and as they're walking past Two-Face, you just see a cell with Two-Face in it. Yeah. He's just staring out, and like it's just like Commissioner Gordon. They're just walking past him. He has nothing to do with this story. He's just his own little crook. But it's like Commissioner Gordon kind of looking back at him, and that history there. I like that. I like that because it's almost like set up like any one of these cell blocks could be a story. Could be a story like this. It just happens to be like the Joker's the biggest and the baddest for Batman. But I don't know. I felt like it was a little rushed. I felt like Joker didn't do anything like way crazy Joker terrible. I think he did like mid-level kind of terrible, not like what I was expecting out of Joker. And also I felt like there wasn't anything in that story that I felt like I could relate to really. Like, I didn't feel like I have a relationship with somebody like and Batman do, or I don't feel like, I don't know, I just didn't connect with any of the characters because I just felt like the situation and circumstance was so far removed from what we would normally deal with, that I just didn't get into it. I don't know, it was weird. It's like some things I liked, some things I didn't. So I was curious to see, as somebody else who had never read it or seen it or anything specifically, because I know Diction's read it, what you specifically thought about it, because I was really on the fence, and it's really kind of bothered me, actually.
I mean, it is a very, I don't know how much of the actual book is basically Joker in a monologue, but let's say roughly a third of it. It's just basically a very, very long Joker monologue, and that part of it,
and a song.
Yeah, and a song too.
Musical number.
He's got some rhymes too, right?
I hated the musical number in the animated.
I did too. That's
it was
true.
Too lighthearted. It came off way more lighthearted than it did in the book.
Yeah. No, but the monologue, I think at certain points was, I mean, the writing is kind of cool, but it was getting a little old, I guess, that part of it. But the craziness, the whole thing about the Joker was really just trying to relate to, he is a good person, right? In the beginning, I mean, yes, he's considering doing some very desperate things, for the sake of his family. But I don't know if he sold it properly, but the intent was really just that, when you have this moment where you lose the two things that one person and, potential person, right? That you care about that basically you're living for, and you're just doing everything that you're doing for. And you've given up a career, you've taken a risk in the form of a very stable job to do something that you think you would love, or maybe something you're passionate about and something you think you love, and it's not working out. And, I think it's supposed to, it's the whole one bad day thing, right? Like, it's like this one bad day, you go from like a very good person, or just at least a person that's generally good, to a person that doesn't care, right? And it's not necessarily bad, but just has no moral compass at all, and just whatever is on the table, right? So I mean, I can relate to that. I don't know if he sold it well. I feel like the whole bit about, hey, just these detectives or whatnot coming into the bar and saying, oh, your wife and your wife died by some freak accident, that happens 1 in a million times or whatnot. I forgot the actual statistic they gave. Sorry about that. You know what I mean? I don't think that's quite as chilling as if he, if he were to come in and somebody had murdered his wife, kind of like, what happened to Bruce Wayne, right? Just something that's a lot more traumatic, because there's just that whole parallelism that's going on during the whole thing too, about, Batman having that crazy day too, even though it was probably it's a longer process for Batman, I think, to become Batman. But it just wasn't traumatic enough. I guess that was probably the biggest thing I had for, biggest, I guess, qualm I have, is that I just wasn't convinced that Joker, would just be in that mental state, I guess, or it didn't come across that way. But overall, I still
feel like there needed to be a few more like personal element. Like, I feel like if he witnessed his wife die, that would have had way more. And then those goons show up or something, and they're like, "Well, you're still doing this job with us. Like, this has changed things." That would have been, it didn't have the oomph of like a really traumatic experience. It was like the cops show up and be like, "Hey, your wife died." It's like it's like, oh shit, okay. That's weird.
Yeah, what was it, a baby bottle, like a bottle heater or warmer?
It was, it was one of those electric heaters.
I don't know if I liked or disliked. Going back over that too in my head, and I'm like, do I like it because it's not like a crazy conventional, like somebody murdered, oh god, it's crazy. It's like it almost lends itself to the story, right? Because it wasn't that crazy. It was just a random happenstance, and his wife died to some random shit. And I think the randomness of it is almost more upsetting than like a planned murder or
I had no problem with the way she died. It was just the way he found out that she died that I feel like,
and it's just
was
so
a little
rushed.
too
And then that night, I mean, literally hours later, he doesn't have to process it. I mean, doesn't have any time to process it, and they're trying to make it feel like he's still conflicted or emotionally just everywhere, and in this state where he can just be completely unbalanced, with anything to happen to him in the next few hours. And that just wasn't convincing at all. You know what I mean? He's just kind of like, oh, I shouldn't be going now. I mean, I should be mourning my wife, right? Like, I don't know if I should do this. Well, you got to do this. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'll go do it now. Because I kind of have to. I don't know. I just didn't. I felt like they could have done a better job of it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I guess he just got kind of lethargic, or like, he was kind of in his own like headspace, and he wasn't processing it very well, and he just kind of went along with whatever. What the fuck was up with the green? I still the red hood thing. Like, I still don't understand.
Yeah,
he's a villain from Batman.
Okay, so he is a villain from Batman. I assumed he was, and I just was not familiar.
I think he was actually the original like villain in Batman, like way back in the day when the comic started, before the Joker existed. There was the Red Hood.
I was like, is he trying to look like Magneto? And then I was like, no, that's a different Marvel DC.
Why can't he see through this thing? I mean, he was like seeing double vision or not able to see. I wasn't understanding that either.
They explained it. It's like a two-way mirror.
Yeah, but
so like you can't see it. You can't see his face from the outside, but he can see out.
Yeah, but still, it was almost like he couldn't see very well, like at all.
Oh yeah, he couldn't see well. That's why he would always have goons with him to make him to do his bidding.
So that was
he was just there to look good.
That was a screwed up helmet. I mean, you think you'd have a helmet that would just be very easy to apply and see out of. So that was strange, man.
Well, they mentioned that it was hard to get the helmet on him.
Yeah.
Because he was, he had a weird shaped head.
Sure.
I also didn't like how he turned into Joker. I thought that the whole story, I find so many things that I like and I dislike, like every scene or like even like every, even like page to page even. But like, I didn't like how he just like jumped in some water and he's like, my arms are itchy. And then it's like, I'm Joker. It's like, I don't know. It seems so rushed. Like he looked so I wish he would have looked.
It would have been. I
Joker.
feel like something like this idea just came to me. It would have been like, yeah, like he gets out of the disgusting shit and he's burning, and then maybe he has a moment on the shore where he takes off the hood and stuff and he sees his reflection, and then he pulls out a picture of his wife, and the picture's completely destroyed because of the chemicals.
There you
and
go.
Then he has the moment.
That's
like
awesome.
I feel like there should have been an extra beat, an emotional beat that finally snaps.
Yeah.
And they didn't. It just goes from. Batman pushes him into a fucking vat, and then he comes out, and he's the Joker.
Well, he comes out of the vat, and all of a sudden he just has makeup that makes him look exactly like a clown too. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
that was good. I liked it earlier. It's like maybe I should have been a clown, and then now he is.
Or the guy, right? The guy he freaking shakes hands with, and then all of a sudden he looks like a clown. All of a sudden, it's like, okay,
oh yeah, he's got that
poison
needle that he.
Yeah, I mean, I understand at some point we push our mind, past the point of realism and accept this as, kind of a fun.
It's a comic.
Yeah, it's a comic. I know, but like what, if you did get on that level, if you were that kind of person, which I am, it's like, what chemical compound makes you smile, die, sitting up straight with your face all white? What causes this?
It's the Joker.
How can you
the Joker.
It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Going back to him turning into Joker, I liked that it was more of a, I don't mind the old fell into a vat of chemicals, now I'm the way but what I didn't like was just how quickly that he fell in the vat of chemicals, he came out, and suddenly it's like, I'm Joker. It's like, no,
it was like 3 frames. It was the shortest ever. I mean, that deserved at least a couple of pages right there.
I would have liked to see him pull off the thing and his skin be, maybe even bubbling or smoke, steaming, and him screaming. And I would have rather seen, rather just seen him reacting to it. We don't even, like Diction said, maybe he pulls it out, in his torment and his photos all fucked. But I wouldn't even necessarily need to see, or if I just got an idea of what happened to him, his skin, whatever. But he just pulls it off, and it's like suddenly he's white, hair's green, and he's got a smile, and it's
got lipstick on.
Begin. I don't know.
Even the Tim Burton Batman had a more impactful Joker transformation.
Right.
With the fucking mirror, and shit. It was great. It was so good. And yeah, I felt it definitely, my biggest complaint of the graphic novel is that it feels rushed. It feels like it could have been 10 or 15 pages longer.
Yeah.
And no, not. I know it's hard to make comic books. It's a difficult medium to work in, but it did feel like they were trying to get this story done, one and done, a little too quickly.
Well, let's talk about the last scene, because the last scene, when I first read it, it was a little confusing to me. I actually had to actually read it over twice, do a reread on it, because at first when Joker starts laughing, I thought Batman reached over and started choking him, but just with the actual frame itself. But then I quickly realized after looking over it a couple of times that, oh no, they're both laughing. He's just putting his hand on his shoulder, laughing with him, right?
Yeah.
So what's up with that?
Well, here's the thing.
I didn't quite understand that. Actually.
It goes back.
I don't want to say that
back to the beginning where Batman goes to be like, I want to talk this out with you. I don't want to kill you. I don't want you to kill me. And then at the end of this whole arc, they kind of do talk it out. At the end, that's what I got from it. Was it was a throwback to the very beginning, where they basically just they finally found some weird, even ground where they realized that they're just going to be fucking doing this thing forever and might as well share a laugh. I don't know.
It was kind of like a moment of solidarity. It was it was, I don't know. The one thing I did like about it was that it was both very human, right? Sometimes when we think about the Joker and we think about Batman, we think life, how often do you Joker really commiserate on his feelings, or really, it's in those last few, it's Joker went back to being he wasn't making until the end there, he wasn't quipping, he wasn't laughing maniacally, he was sitting there sullen faced, really contemplating what Batman does, and he basically tells Batman pretty much, we're both crazy. This is the way I see it. We're both fucking crazy people. We're going to get each other killed one way or the other. And, that's kind of goes along with the joke, with the I'm not going to go across the light beam because you turn it off on me. You know, it's almost
Yeah.
like you were kind of fucked to begin with. You know, like it's like fate that they've had. They can't escape it, even if they were to be, you know, amiable with each other. You know, and it's weird because it's a side of Joker, especially that you like never get to see, really, or at least I've never seen, is him just talking with Batman like a person. Just like, hey, sorry, it's too late for that. You know, I'm sorry. You know, but you know, here's this joke. You know, let's laugh it out. It's almost like I don't know. I just see like two guys almost like old school, kind of like sharing a beer.
Well,
You know, like
I
like I don't know how to explain it. Like two guys that know they got to kill each other, but they can relate on some level with each other, but they know it comes to the end, and that almost that whole thought of like understanding each other but also needing to kill each other is kind of maddening in itself, you know. So I think they kind of laugh about that. I think that's what's funny for them
okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it might actually. I mean, I think you're absolutely right with a lot of those things. I agree with you with all of those things, but I think also it might have something to do with, you know the part in the beginning too where where Batman says to Gordon that, or was it Gordon or was it? No, it was actually to Alfred, right? Where he says, we've been battling for so long, but we still don't know each other at all. Which is like crazy because we, obviously they've been interacting or chasing each other for years or whatnot now, and they just don't know each other at all. Maybe at that moment at the end is basically, that moment where we understand each other all of a sudden, and maybe that was symbolic of that.
Yeah, I can get behind that too because he says that. He says, how can two people hate each other so much and not know each other?
Exactly.
But yeah, I do agree with you. I think that definitely part of it at the end, too, is that hey, they are getting on the same page, and the same page is still the page they've been on. It's almost like, hey, we had the conversation, hey, but we're still right where we're at. But I don't know. Overall, I think it good. I don't think it was great. I think it could have been great. But you know what? I also think that I've been sort of solely form of like, as far as like true gritty drama, when it comes to comic books, I really am into that. And so this, I feel like, seems grittier to other people and it's not as gritty for me personally. Because I like things like Why the Last Man and Fables and all these comic books that I've read, like Preacher, that are just so over the top with the grittiness and the adult nature and everything that whenever I read, I think it's so tame. Like it seems so tame to me. But I think like a person, and I would like to I wish I could see chat. I would like to get the opinions of people watching, like if they felt like this was super gritty or if they didn't feel like it was gritty, why not? Because for me, it just didn't feel. It felt like they thought they were being super gritty, but it just didn't come across that way.
Just
when
moments
did it
of
come
gritty,
out?
like
Because
edginess.
it's also like it's a dated piece of work, so.
Yeah, and I get that, but
I think it
even
came out in the
Watchmen,
80s or 90s or something.
At the time,
yeah,
at
but
the time
even
it could have been
Watchmen
edgy.
coming out, right? Watchmen was like 80 something, I don't know, around there.
85, 86.
Okay, mid 80s.
Yeah, and so like I mean that was done around the 80s, but that I consider way grittier. I mean, but that's like Alan Moore. That's just him going ham.
Yeah,
Story. He's not trying to do stuff with other people's. But what I'm saying is that controversial material existed then and was accepted. They could have done something grittier even back then. I think it does say a lot though that it was from the 80s. I bet it was.
Yeah, it's from 1988. It came out in 1988.
Yeah,
so this was about.
Back then, there was a turning point, I think, in Batman comics where it was getting a lot darker. I think the Dark Knight Returns had come out, and they were like, oh shit, we can get super weird with this.
I think maybe just generally with comics, again, like I'm not super familiar. You guys can correct me, but I think generally in comics, there was some kind of swing where I think a lot of them just became darker and edgier, and really pushing limits in that standpoint. Versus like maybe some comics you've seen in other countries that are were very violent, very a lot of sexual content in them too, and things like that. I don't know. Did that start early in American comics, or that's
I'm
again
not-
something
I'm
that
not-
switched?
An expert.
Well, violence was always a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as close as you got to sexuality was like Wonder Woman tied up for so many years in different types of bondage.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think probably the 80s, and I could be wrong. I'm not like the craziest comic book, entrepreneur or anything or whatever.
Connoisseur, yeah.
Connoisseur, thank you. I always get those words mixed up. But the thing is that I think that probably the 80s is a pretty accurate time. Started to kind of change more towards the adult gritty, because by that point, your kids have grown up into their 30s, and these people have been reading comic books. There's adults now to enjoy adult comics, whereas, in the beginning, I mean, besides censorship and all that stuff, it was mostly just kids. Kids read comic books, It wasn't until the 80s that they had enough kids old enough to read adult comics that they started maybe to produce them and become successful with them. It's just like video games. It's like all of us grew up with video games when we were kids, and the video games have gotten extensively more gruesome and mature as we've gotten. It's almost like Harry Potter kind of grows with us. But I don't know. It felt, and maybe again, but it felt sort of like a watered down trying to be gritty, but it really wasn't. It's like, and I think just the things that I've read have made that comic book specifically have less of an impact on me. If I would have just picked that up having not read these other things, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. But it just didn't seem that crazy, that gritty to me, and a lot of people were kind of praising it for the grittiness, and I didn't see it like that. So
Okay, cool. Well, so I just want to take a second just to remind folks that we want you guys to kind of join us in the discussion too. So to do that, just join. Monkey Overlord is taking or helping us out and trying to get everybody ready. But to do so, you need to go to this channel, this Discord channel, and just let Monkey know that you're interested in hopping on with us. But one last thing, actually, before we maybe start pulling on people, did you guys get a chance to read the afterward? Because I actually thought the afterward was pretty good, or very good.
I did, but I apparently didn't remember it very well because you brought it up, and I don't think. And then you started to talk about it. I was like, oh yeah, but go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah. So the afterward's about, I don't know how many pages is this. This is about 14 pages or so. I mean, I guess I could show folks, like, it's this thing. This is in the deluxe version of The Killing Joke that I got, and. It looks like both of them wrote after. They had some space to write it afterward, apparently, and so they went ahead and just made like about 12 more pages. And the afterward is it's basically centered around this random guy, this random dude right here, and he basically just talks about just the thought, or he outright states that he's going to kill Batman, and he's just talking through like a lot of the history of I guess all the Batman villains. He kind of goes through them all, but in the end, it's really interesting because it makes it feel like Batman's easy to kill. Just the way that he's actually talking about it. I mean, it's definitely well written. I mean, he compares like killing Batman to like Lenin. He actually talks about just killing people in general, but he says, I need to kill somebody that's going to make a big impact on the world. Like kind of like killing John Lennon was, for the world. And right. So he says, so I need to kill Batman. So he goes and again kind of thinks through it, kind of talks through about just like what it would be like to not have Batman there, or what would happen if Batman died, and it was really well. It was very well done, like in just those few pages, and I think it was maybe even better than most of the actual novel itself. But you should check it out. It's only like 12 pages. It's really short. I'm sure you could find it somewhere. I don't know, online. Somewhere.
I liked out of that thing when he's talking about how you can't know good unless you've seen evil. It's like it's a weird position to take. He's like, basically the point he's trying to make is nobody who says they're good is good if they didn't have to make a choice to be good. Like, if you've never done evil or seen evil, then if you're good and you haven't experienced that, then you're basically a fake. Because the only true people, basically is what he's saying, the only people who are truly good are those who have experienced bad things or done bad things and then had consciously made a choice or felt bad about that, innately bad about it, and proved that they are a good person.
They have a sense of relativity. They have to have some sense of relativity. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's a weird way of looking at things. But I thought it was super thing
That makes
that
sense.
he would. That's why he talks about, he's like, because the guy is just a normal dude. He's not a
Yeah.
supervillain. He has no record. He's church going guy, whatever, you know. And he's just like, I just want to kill a little girl because I want to know what evil is, and then I want to know if I like that feeling, you know. And if I don't, then I'm a good person, and if I do, then I'm an evil piece of shit. But at least I know, you know, that kind of thing. It was weird, man. It's really sort of unnerving.
It was unnerving, but it was like, you know, is this guy like basically the seed of, you know, a supervillain, you know, in the comic, or is this guy, you know, or is it one of these things where it's just like, yeah, you know, there's all these, you know, penguins and poison ivies and jokers and stuff, and they have not been able to kill Batman, but really all it takes is just a normal guy to go and kill Batman. You know, like that's where it really made it feel like that.
At least expect it, some random Joe.
Yeah, so that's where, you know, the juxtaposition, I guess, was
not wearing a costume and shit.
Yeah, he's just
know?
some dude in glasses and just talking, just demented guy, obviously just psychopath that's just talking about killing folks. But he just, I don't know, it just made it feel like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, obviously we read comics, and of course the thing that we buy into is just, you know, just superheroes, super villains fighting each other. But you know, when the whole realistic side of things come in, you know, or at least our side of our brains come in, it's just like, yeah, it's like, why can't I just walk up to Batman and just shoot him in the head? And that's pretty much what happens, like in this 12th, you know, shows him being shot in the head or something. So yeah, it's, I don't know, it's definitely cool. I mean, it makes you think, and it kind of, you know, puts you in a different position thinking about just the whole comic itself.
Well, I mean, Batman in itself is human.
Yeah,
and
he's human.
That was one of the things. I used to hate Batman until somebody sat me down and was like, "No, man, like Batman's the coolest, and this is why, because Batman doesn't have Superman's powers. He's not Wonder Woman. He's not Aqua. He's just a dude, man, with billions of dollars that probably what he
had a small loan of $1 million from Dad. Started at the bottom and now he's here.
No, it's like probably the amount of money that he spent on this whole Batmaning thing. He probably could have just like put that money to good in the city and probably done a lot more.
Well, he did that too, right? I mean,
no, he does that too.
They did that too.
But I don't know.
The Bruce Wayne Foundation and
Wayne
stuff.
Enterprise.
Like
Wayne Enterprise, does the water for the city, and I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, right?
Hold on a second. Hold on. So, because I'm on my phone. I'm in like Junie's room, and I think one of my family members is trying to talk to me through the camera, because you can do that, like the way we have it set up. There's like a website they can go to. So people are like trying to talk to me in this right now. Give me like 2 seconds. Hold on.
This is
technology is wonderful.
I know, that's so funny. But yes, I think that I don't know. It's just he is a human, which is really cool. But at the same time, it's just like, does that mean just rich guys can become superheroes all of a sudden?
Yeah, I know.
Mark Zuckerberg could become
they
Batman.
can definitely afford.
I'm on a show.
Oh, no. Oh, no. All right, let me mute him real quick.
I think my sister's coming through on the camera going, "Where's Rachel?
Where's Rachel?"
Literally, have it so that people can like go
like Batman.
Go on a website and they can see Junie when she's asleep, and they can talk to her through the camera. And so my sister going, "Where's Rachel? Where's Scary Face?"
It's like a real genius moment. This is God. Oh man, somebody's done that to me before. I know exactly what you're talking about. Those mics though, those are awesome.
Yeah, no, it's super cool for the family, but it just freaked the hell out of me. I was like, "What? God, I forgot where I was." I forget what about.
We're just talking about Batman being a real dude and everything.
Yeah. That's what I was. That's what. You know, Batman's just a real guy. He's an extremely crazy detective, and really, it's forethought that really makes him a head above the rest. It's, you know, the fact that he's got. For those of you who don't know, like, Batman has files on even people in the Justice League, like, in case they go bad, he's got a way to take them down and knows their strengths and weaknesses. Like, this is the guy that does every scrap of him. You know, he finds every scrap of information about a person and uses it to their advantage, in the fullest sense, and it started to make me really respect him because he's on a level with, the likes of Superman. I mean, if you look at like Justice League and stuff like that, he's pretty much like boss tier level Batman, and he's just a human, he's just a human. So, the guy talking about walking up to him and just shooting him out of nowhere, yeah, I can see that happening. It's not like he's got bulletproof, bulletproof beard or something. Yeah. It's like skin. I mean, you just walk up, shoot him in the mouth, and Batman's dead. One bullet. And I remember thinking about movie Kick-Ass.
Yeah,
I'm always trying to think like, how does Batman fight people with guns? And if you watch Kick-Ass, I felt like, when I think it's Bad Dad or something like that. What is the played by Nicolas Cage?
Oh yeah, Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a scene where he looks pretty much like Batman.
Oh,
but he's just like
he's pretty much
he's exactly what he is.
Yeah.
But he's like he's fighting these guys with guns in this warehouse, and they're shooting at him, and his armor is just like ping, 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 ping. It's just like shooting off of his armor, and he's just like pushing through, and it looks so dangerous, and it looks so like. I'm like, this is how like a real life Batman
that's when you just
fight
cover
would
your
go
mouth.
down.
You cover your mouth and you're just walking forward like this.
You just do the best you can, I guess.
Oh god!
I remember that scene of him going up these, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember just bullets bouncing off him. I'm like, any one of those bullets that just hits a little crevice in your armor, like you're fucked. And same thing with Batman. It's like, sometimes I can't get around the thought that he's just human, and when he does things. Extraordinary things. I typically sometimes I'm like, yeah, whatever, fuck you, this is crazy and over the top, and I don't like it because I like things that are placed in a little bit of realism too. But I try to, obviously, mind to the universe and all that stuff. But he's still human, So sometimes I think that he does go above and beyond what humans capable of, even in our craziest, right? But I don't know. At the end of the day, he is just a human. I think that makes him more interesting than not.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry, I went on a long tangent.
All right. Well, why don't we pull in a caller? Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. So let me see. Okay. So it looks like Unusual Salmon is going to be our first caller. Give him like a couple seconds to hear me say that on stream and then get ready here. But let's pull him on here.
Out of all the salmons I've known, this one is quite unusual.
Unusual Salmon, you there? You're mute-mited if you are there.
You're mute-mited?
Oh, your mic is muted. Your mute is mic'd. Oh, gosh, your mic is muted is what I meant. Fumbling words today. Oh, maybe he's not here.
Maybe he got caught upstream.
That's a good joke. You should give that to the Joker.
Not a salmon. It's a fish. Anyways.
The old fish humor. Yes. We know it well.
Oh god, that's hilarious.
So is he?
Okay. I think he's still muted. All right, we'll have to figure it out. Let's let Monkey figure it out while we wait. Oh, actually, there he is. I think he unmuted. Oh no. Oh, you know what it is? Never mind. Is that whole permissions thing again?
Did you do it again?
Oh
I did it again. My bad, guys. My bad. All right. Let me let somebody. Okay, here we go. All right. Let me do it again. My bad. Okay, Salmon.
What's up?
Hello, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Welcome to the show,
I'm
man.
doing fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, you got some tidbits or questions to add to the discussion here?
Yeah, well, one thing that I really wanted to say was that Diction, you are, I don't remember if it was Diction or Ella, but one of you said that Batman comics were geared towards kids before the 80s.
Yep.
Yes, I did. I thought that. Now, I did qualify that I am said entrepreneur, but it's connoisseur. But I'm also not an entrepreneur, too, so it wasn't wrong. No, but yeah.
You are completely right.
Okay.
And that's before mostly The Dark Knight Returns, which I think came out in like 86-ish.
That was Frank Miller,
and then... Yeah, that was Frank Miller. And then in 88 was The Killing Joke and A Death in the Family. So those three comics really brought Batman towards a more serious audience, I thought.
Okay, so then maybe I shouldn't hate on it so much for being a little bit less gritty than obviously the things that I've been reading today, because it sounds like it was kind of a pathmaker, or whatever you want to call it.
It really was a milestone.
Trailblazer or something.
Trailblazer, yeah. Pathmaker.
Yeah. And then another thing that I would like to bring up, which you guys already sort of discussed, was this song that Joker performed in the tunnel, and more specifically, Mark Hamill's voice acting.
Yeah, go for it.
I thought that Mark Hamill did a fantastic job in The Killing Joke.
Oh, yeah.
He was great.
Yeah. I thought he gave a very reserved performance. He didn't sort of have the outburst that he's known in the animated series for and the Arkham games for having, which works because this is a much more serious film. However, I thought that in the tunnel where he's singing to Commissioner Gordon, it didn't have the same impact as it did in the comic book. And I thought that was because Mark Hamill didn't do so great of a job singing as he did in, say, the scene where he's singing to Batman in Arkham Knight.
Yeah, the music that they used was really just lighthearted and jovial, and just like I get it, he's the Joker, like that's kind of his shtick, but it was just like, I would have liked it if it was like some weird like 1930s carnival music, like with like a scratchy record in the background or something really dark and sinister.
Yeah,
and a little more slower pace. It was too. Yeah. It was like yada 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 da da da. And it was just like, like, hey, look, your fucking naked daughter with a spine injury. Da, 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 da. It did not fucking work, dude.
I remember specifically that the music itself sounded horrible. Like like the tempo and the beat and just everything, the tune just sounded bad. So like how much of it are we going to pin on Mark Hamill, and how much are we going to pin on the fact that whoever actually took that song
on
to the screen,
the composer.
Yeah, the composer. I mean, it was
Mark Hamill was just working with what he had, and that would be a shitty song.
But
I think that's true.
Not my fault.
It might have been.
Yeah, exactly.
He may have been able to pull that to life in a better way, and maybe he didn't through his voice acting. It sure could fall on his shoulders. But I just felt like the song was weak. Like whoever they decided to go, hey, here's the graphic novel, here's the song, make that into a song, like an actual song that people can hear. I feel like that guy really dropped the ball. Yeah. Like I felt like he's more to blame than Mark Hamill at this point. But
shame.
I do think that's true to an extent, because sort of I think the Joker is sort of thinking that as like a joke, so I can understand what they were going for with the lighthearted music. I do agree that it sounds like complete shit, but I think the combination of Mark Hamill's very serious tone and the upbeat music that they were going for didn't mash well at all.
Yeah, I agree. Something was definitely not
just
right
off.
about
not
that
casted
scene.
right, or just
in a big way. In my opinion. So
and because of that, I don't think the big plot reveal that he's trying to drive Commissioner Gordon insane by showing him pictures of Barbara didn't hit as well as I think it did in the comics.
Yeah.
I personally, like I said earlier, I think it missed in the comics a little too, but it definitely fucking missed in the movie. I mean, me and Core were just sitting there watching. I don't know. It was almost kind of cringy when it got to the song part.
Yeah,
that is true. I was cringing.
Yeah.
I recall a cringe or two.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters the one night that it was open in theaters.
Oh man!
And I could hear the crowd sort of cringe along with me.
Man, I'm glad I saw that in my house. Like all by.
It's when you're embarrassed, like cringe meaning embarrassed for the guy that's up on karaoke singing, or a different type of cringe.
I don't know. It was sort of just everyone sort of recoiling a bit as, what am I watching? What is this? Why is this here?
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sam, for coming on the show, man, and sharing that with us. Appreciate it, dude.
Thank you for having me. It was fun talking with you guys.
Sure, dude.
All right. Well, whoops, let me get back here.
Had him on there because because I don't think any of us are like fans.
Cut out.
I know that
any of us are hardcore. Oh, Batman fans, you mean?
I just don't think that any of us are just like a certain level when it comes to comics. Like he knew the other comics that had come out in that year. When they come out and stuff. Yeah. It's cool to have people that are a little bit more well versed myself come on and kind of shed some light on things. And
this is why we do the show, so we can become better at comic books.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the
better at comic books, become an expert.
Is getting better at
yeah,
books and TV shows and movies in general. So if you're wanting to, like, I sometimes enjoy just reading things and watching things, maybe not even for the pure enjoyment of that, but for the conversations that'll come after.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'm going through that 70s, and I don't think that 70s show is like the greatest in the world, but I want to watch it because I feel like a lot of people have seen that 70s show, and then when 70s show gets brought up, I can joke about it and converse about it, and that's fun for me. So part of the show, is kind of getting your repertoire of entertainment media and everything a little bit higher for sure.
Yeah.
So I appreciate when people that absolutely know. So thanks again, Salmon, for coming on the show.
Yeah, so anybody else that wants to join us here on the call, you can do so by, again, just coming to the Discord channel, and Monkey Overlord will get you set up and relay that over to me. If you kind of shy, don't want to get on the mic with us here, you can actually just go ahead and just type in your questions here on Twitch chat, or you can tweet them to me, or at Chanmanv, or one of us, and we'll be sure to read those out too. But right now we don't have another caller right now, so.
I don't know how much more I've got to say about it.
Yeah, really. I don't know.
We've covered everything.
Yeah.
That I felt like I wanted.
Why don't we talk about next week while we wait a little bit? Maybe there will be one more person. So next week, drum roll. Our topic next week is going to be a TV show, or it's going to be more. We're going to be back to TV here, and it's going to be The People versus O.J. Simpson. And I would throw in O.J. Simpson Made in America too. Just I think that will be added to the conversation in some ways, just because the documentary they came out at the same time, and they were both very good. So we're gonna be talking about this. This is a TV series. This was more of a TV show that was, I believe, 7. How many episodes was it? 8 episodes? 10 episodes. 10 episodes. Yeah. And obviously all about the O.J. Simpson case and what was going on there. So it'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. Have you guys watched it yet? All right, have either of you guys seen
I'm on episode 5 right now, and it's delightful.
I don't know a damn thing about it, and I was very. I'm assuming this is about the O.J. Simpson trial. Everything. I guess I was very young. Yeah, very young. And I think that was the first time I ever realized that like court cases could be like that there could be like televised court cases. I never knew that was like a possible thing when I was a kid.
It's like a spectator sport, like
yeah. It was kind of crazy how big that got. And I remember where I was at when the verdict was read. I was over at my grandma's house and how everybody reacted, and I remember all that. But I don't remember anything about. I didn't know anything about the case. I didn't know the specifics. I wasn't following it. Like I was very young. So I think what's going to end up happening is I'm going to go watch this. And then I'm going to start diving in every Reddit post and start going ham on it. So I'm excited, but no about it. So
I definitely remember it when I was a kid. My dad was a lawyer, so my mom would talk about it all the time at dinner. I would catch news clippings and like all the stuff on the TV and stuff. So I definitely remember it. I wasn't aware of like all the racism and like the really weird shady shit that happened. A huge circus.
Yeah, it's like primetime TV during that entire there was nothing that was bigger from the standpoint of entertainment and watching.
I remember the chase. I definitely watched
the chase. Everybody watched that.
I watched the shit out of that. Yeah.
See, I didn't even remember there was a chase. Like I don't even. remember.
Yeah, he tried to book it to Mexico with this dude driving his car, and he had a gun to his head the whole time. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Really?
You'll see it. You'll see it in the show.
You'll just watch it again. I would recommend. Okay, so first off, for sure, The People of O.J. Simpson, definitely watch that. But I would also recommend watching O.J. Simpson Made in America too. And I think we should talk about both because O.J. Simpson Made in America is really, really good. It's a documentary that was on I think ESPN, right? I think it was an ESPN documentary that is exceptional. Super good. Like I watch a lot of documentaries on sports figures and things like that, and this one was probably the best one I've seen. So definitely watch that too, because there's a lot of details and and things that are actually in that too. The People versus O.J. Simpson is more of, a reenactment of all of it, where O.J. Simpson made America's an actual documentary with interviews from people involved with the case, people, all these characters that are basically in the People of O.J. Simpson. So
this one's long. It's like 5 episodes. Each one's the length of a movie. Damn.
It's like, yeah, it's probably as long as the People of O.J. Simpson. So whatever you can watch, just definitely check that out too.
Sure.
But we do have one. Let's see, one question here. It's
before we get into that real quick. Also, I think that you can find, for those of you who are going to be watching this, catching up with us next week on the show, I believe you can find it on Hulu. So
yes.
I looked it up like right before this. So got Hulu. I don't know where you can see the documentary. I'm sure you can find it, but I know for sure
you can rent it on Amazon.
Okay,
it's not like $3 an episode. Yeah, it's a little pricey. Maybe if you have ESPN on your Dish Network or whatever, you can probably do a VOD or whatever.
I don't know. I don't know what that is, but okay. But so I just want everybody to know that they can at least go watch the other show on People versus O.J. Simpson on Hulu. So at least they have that option too. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, we got one more caller. Team Louie wants to talk about a comparison between The Killing Joke and the animated movie. Team Louie.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, buddy.
Oh, holy crap! I didn't realize I was pulled in.
Yeah, live.
No.
Hey, I was curious how you guys felt that The Killing Joke, because there's tons of Batman short films that are out there. Are not short films, but DVDs that are full length movies. Like there's the Mask of the Phantasm, and Under the Red Hood, Year One, Dark Knight Returns 1 and 2, which is like a 2.5 hour long movie when you put it together. I was just curious how you guys felt that it stacked up, because I was kind of I was a little bit put off whenever I read the reviews of The Killing Joke, because I love the graphic novel, but I was wondering how you felt that this movie stacks up against all the rest.
Have any of us seen? Okay, so Diction,
I've seen Mask of the Phantasm, and I think I've seen Year One like a long time ago. But yeah, it's like we talked about it earlier. The first 30 minutes is just bullshit filler, like Barbara romance with Batman where she's pining after him, and it does not fit with The Killing Joke whatsoever. They don't even reference it. Like once it gets to The Killing Joke, it's not even like that story ends, and it's just really fucking weird.
Yeah, I don't know how it stacks up personally, because I haven't read
same here. I've never seen the other animated movies.
Those others are actual movies with stories that are self-contained. Killing Joke has 2 stories in it, one of which doesn't belong at all, and one of which is like a pretty okay adaptation, but not great.
I might go back and watch a few. Just watch them. What would you suggest, Team Lou, if I was going to go back and watch a couple of the
Under the Red Hood was fantastic. It was pretty short, but it was great. And also, I have Batman. The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2. That's a pretty long one. Year One was great. And there was the one that I watched part of. I didn't finish it. It was like 4 anime style Batman movies, like in one disc, that came out like in 2009 or 2010, something like that.
Animatrix.
Was that Batman Matrix?
Batman, yeah, exactly. That's funny.
I forget what that one was called, but it was 4 short movies on one Blu-ray. I can't remember what it was called though. My friend owns it. That's all I remember.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah,
well, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah,
Appreciate
sure.
it. Yeah, because that's what I like about the show too. You get an opportunity of these things that we pull out of our hat, and you can explore those, and there's so much more down the rabbit hole, so to speak, when it comes to any of these things that we cover on the show. So like Batman, and go and just start watching all of them, and start getting really into Batman, or like Game of Thrones, just because we covered like season 6, I know that people are going to go pick up the book or start at season 1 and really get into, so yeah, it's good to know that there's other. I knew that there were animated movies out there for Batman, but I didn't know if they were any. I didn't know if they were like for kids or.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, like you said. I mean, I definitely have seen them. Or I remember back in the day in Blockbuster and seeing like a ton of them for sure, but never got a chance to watch them.
Well, the great thing about it is even if they are technically for kids, they're still great. Like you can still. there's that level of adult enjoyment that you can get out of it, even if they are technically for children. It's like, there are still tons of adults that go back and watch the old Batman the Animated Series, which was clearly for kids, but people still say that's the best Joker there ever was Mark Hamill on that cartoon.
Okay, well, cool. I guess I'll have my homework set up for me then.
Yeah. All right, Team Louis, thanks for adding that, man.
It was good talking to you too, man, by the way.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, well,
cool.
Why don't we wrap up?
Sure.
And yeah, it's great show, and hopefully next week is going to be a lot of fun too. Next Thursday, we're good for next Thursday, right? Well, same time, same place.
Sure, yeah.
All right.
My
cool.
internet happens to be out again. I'll just call in, I guess.
Hopefully we can see
use my Boy Meets World picture.
World. That's a permanent. It's on the overlay permanently, man.
Even when I'm there, you're just gonna have that picture.
Exactly. No, but you want to do some shout outs, or where can people find you, Diction?
Hi, EatMyDiction1 here. I'm at twitch.tv/EatMyDiction1. I'll be streaming in like an hour and a half, diving back into No Man's Sky again. And
how do you like that, by the way? I've been seeing mixed things about this thing.
Yeah, no, and I understand people's it can definitely be repetitive. It's a big game full of very similar looking planets, but it's right up my alley. I love exploring things. I love the quest for new shit, which is like loot. Like I love getting loot and getting new ships and new stuff. So it's cool for me. I like it. I'm having a lot of fun. It's cool to like name everything you discover after your like subscribers and stuff, and get them involved or have them like name stuff for it. It's really
awesome. Fun. Yeah, that's a sub perk right there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it's been working too.
Yeah, good stuff.
People love it.
Cool. Ella, where can people find you? Except for here, obviously.
Yeah. Not here, not right now. Usually I channel, but for those of you who've been following the channel, you guys know I've been on a little bit of hiatus for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So that is going to be coming to an end very, very soon, probably sooner than you think. I'm probably going to jump on No Man's Sky on its what's the date today?
It's the 11th.
It's 11th.
Yeah,
PC release goes live tomorrow.
Yeah, PC release live tomorrow. There may even be a stream as soon as tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then the day after. I think I'm going to start getting back into it. So if you want to find me anywhere else, I mean, my channel page is right below. I've got Twitter and Curse and all that good shit. But things have been really quiet around the channel. So things are going to be picking back up very soon. So hopefully you guys are excited about that. But I just needed to take a step away and just kind of clear my head. Sometimes being in this thing and streaming and stuff, it gets overwhelming and it gets to me. I have to be like, all right, I need a little bit of a
No, I took a 10-day break just this past week, and it was awesome. So I totally understand, man. Totally get it.
Yeah, and there's other things going on house and all that into it. But yeah, so I'm hoping to stream some No Man's Sky. I haven't played it yet. Excited about it. But I don't know anything about it, and I've been staying off of Twitch just to keep everything spoiler free. So I'm excited to do that. But Chan,
yeah,
what about you? Tell us about you, man.
Yeah, you can find me on twitch.tv/ChanmanV. So the new Hearthstone adventure came out One Night in Karazhan, so I'll be streaming that very, very soon. Might wait. I have to go get my son, and then when I get my son back, I'll probably start streaming that. So if you like Hearthstone, definitely check that out. And just YouTube plus anything that ends in ChanmanV, basically. YouTube, Facebook, whatever, ChanmanV. That you can check me out there. I think that's going to be it for this episode of Spoiler Alerts. So if you missed any of it, you can find it on youtube.com/ChanmanV. I'll have that up very, very soon. And we're actually available on audio now on iTunes and Google Podcast Music. So go and check that out, or let your friends know that only listen to podcasts like on the way to work and stuff. And if you like the show, please leave a 5-star review, because that really helps out in terms
really
of
helps us out.
Yeah, helps us
really
out.
Helps us out.
Really helps us out, guys. So yeah, it's if you want to help the show, that's one way you can do it. But that's going to be it, guys. So for EatMyDiction1, Ellohime, and myself, ChanmanV, we'll see you next time. Later.
I'm waving.
Yeah,
I'm waving goodbye.
Bye.
I'm waving goodbye.
Get out of here.